with Simjin, I will talk about hyperbola. So the definition of the hyperbola is the set of all points in the plane such that the absolute, this is important, the absolute of the difference of the distance from the foci is constant. So previously, Youngjin, Jonghyun, and Jaeyeon explained about ellipse, which is the set of all points in the plane such that the sum of the distance from the fixed point is constant. Conversely, a hyperbola is the set of all points in the plane such that the difference, the subtraction of the foci is constant. In short, ellipse deals with sum, while the hyperbola deals with the difference of the foci. So to ease your understanding, I just prepared two graphs here. So first of all, let's see this graph. So what we're going to do is to find the difference between the point here to there and here to there, and we're going to subtract it and compare with here to here and here to there. Okay? So let's find the distance of F prime and A, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you assume that this is one unit circle. So this will be 6, and this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, which will be 4. So AF prime minus AF will be 2 by 6 minus 4 is 2. In the same way, we'll find the distance of F prime and B and F. So let's start with B and F prime, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4. And this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So since it's F, we have to subtract it with a bigger unit. It will be BF minus BF prime, which will equal 2 as well by 6 minus 4 is 2. So like this, we're going to find all the dots that satisfy this pattern. And this will be, and all the dots will be marked here as a traces with all the dots. And if we connect all the lines here, it will become a hyperbola. So let's see. Oh, no, let's side. So let's see. Okay, so let's see the difference between all the difference between the point and the two foci are 2. So let's start with this. Let's start with this dot, for example. So if we compare here to here, the distance will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and here the distance will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 minus 4 is 2, so it satisfies it. And let's see the origin now. So I'll erase it for your convenience. So let's compare with this dot with this and that. So first of all, the distance between this point and F prime will be 1. And the difference between this point and F will be 1, 2, 3. The 3 minus 1 equals 2 as well, which perfectly satisfy this pattern. And lastly, let's find this. Let's try this point. So if we draw a line like that, that's the same way. And I'll erase this again for your convenience. The point will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which also satisfies 6 minus 4 is 2. So like this, hyperbola is like this. The hyperbolas are the lines connected of the line connected to the traces that share the same subtraction of the two foci. So now I'm going to explain the elements of the hyperbola. So first of all, we have the axis of symmetry. There are 2 types of axis of symmetry. The first one is the transverse axis. Here you can note that the transverse axis is always lied where the foci are. So the first step to find the transverse axis is to find a foci. So here, the foci lies on the x-axis, so it means the transverse axis also lies on the x-axis. So in the endpoint of the transverse axis are the vertex, which will be this point and that point. Therefore, transverse axis is from here to here. And conjugate axis is another type of the axis of symmetry, and it's perpendicular, which means 90 degrees of the transverse axis. And here the endpoint will be the co-vertices, which will be this point and that point. And here I think most of you guys will kind of be puzzled, since how we get the point of the co-vertices or vertices or the foci, and I'm gonna explain it soon. Just note that the transverse axis is where the foci lies, and the endpoint of that are vertices. And conjugate axis lies on the perpendicular to the transverse axis, and its endpoint are the co-vertices. So let's try with this one. Here the foci lies on the y-axis. So the transverse axis will be on the y-axis, and the vertex is this point and that point. So transverse axis will be here to there. And since we have to find the axis that is perpendicular to the transverse axis, which will be the x-axis, and let's find the co-vertices, and here will be the point C1 and C2. It's kind of there. And now I'm gonna explain how we can get the vertices or the co-vertices or the foci if the two of them are given. So if we go to the graph, if we go to this graph, note that A here is the distance between 0, 0, which is the origin, and the vertex. And B equals the co-vertex. And this equals that, which is the focus. So we can say this is C squared, and this is A squared, this is C, and this is A, and this is B. And since this is perpendicular, we can say if we want to get the value of C, we can do the Pythagoras theorem, which will be C squared equals A squared plus B squared. If you want to get the value of A, we can say A squared equals C squared minus B squared. And if you want to get the point of B, we can say B squared equals C squared minus A squared. And Singjin will talk about more problems dealing with this problem. So maybe you will get used to it once you solve the problem. And now going back to the formula of the hyperbola. So first of all, only thing you have to memorize is the standard form. And you can just get all these information by the graph. So the standard form of the graph of the hyperbola is x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared equals 1. So you have to memorize this, so maybe it will be good for you to write down your notebook. And I will explain all those things, how it satisfies all this formula. So first of all, orientation, you can think it as a direction. So the best way to solve it is to see this square. And if the square is like towards horizontally, then the orientation will be horizontal as well. And if the square is towards towards vertically, then the orientation will be vertical as well. So for example, from here this is horizontal since it's longer in the right and left side. However, if you see the previous slide, there is this graph, right? For this graph, the square is longer on the upward and downward. So this will be vertical. So going going back to the formula. So we're finished with the orientation. And for the foci, let's see this point. So for the foci, foci always lies here if it's vertically, which will be same as this point since this is the circle. So if you say this is C, it says that the point, and if you say that this point is F and this point is F prime, we can say that since this is symmetric, this will be C as well. So we can say that the point F will be C, 0, and point F prime will be minus C, 0. So in short, we can say that the foci is plus minus C, 0. And let's go back to the other formula, which is the length of the transverse axis. So this is kind of straightforward. So since these two are equal since those are symmetric, we can just say since this is A as well, so this equals 2A. In the same way, the length of conjugate axis is 2B units, since this will be B, which means this will be B as well. And since it is symmetric, this will equal this, which will be B as well, and therefore the length of the conjugate axis will be 2B. And for the equations of the asymptotes are the lines that never meet the hyperbola. It's just becoming closer, which is this line and that line. So what we have to do to get the asymptote, the equation of the asymptote, is to find the slope of A and B, since it will be the slope. So for this, the slope will go upward since it is going upward, and from here the slope will become negative since the slope is going downward. So what we can say is that the equation of this asymptote will be y equals B over A, and for this equation it will be y equals minus B over A. So
X.
X. So therefore, we can short it as y equals plus minus B over A x.